Nature has already built flexible armor, regenerating limbs, deep metabolic shutdown, and bodies that remain functional with dangerously little oxygen. We use those real biological strategies to design 5 possible superhumans. All 5 will face the same 6 tests. Only one will pass everything, and the strongest-looking body? It may be the first one destroyed by its own biology. The tests were locked before any design was scored. Catastrophic trauma, severe oxygen deprivation, dangerous infection, high radiation, starvation with extreme temperature, and generational survival. A pass means the body completes the round without a lasting new penalty. A test may expose an existing weakness, but it does not yet worsen enough to carry forward. Strained means the round creates or worsens a biological penalty that follows the design into later tests. Failed means it can no longer win, although we will keep modeling it for comparison. These are reasoned outcomes under stated assumptions, not real experiments. Choose your winner now: armor, regeneration, dormancy, redundancy, or adaptation. Aegis prevents injury. Pangolin-style keratin plates overlap reinforced bone and layered connective tissue. It becomes a heavy biological bunker, powerful, hot, and stiff. Phoenix accepts injury, then repairs it. Axolotl-inspired growth zones rebuild damaged tissue, but consume enormous fuel and require growth signals to stop precisely. Dormant reduces demand. Hibernator-inspired metabolic suppression and insulation help it outlast oxygen loss, cold, and hunger, but leave the body slow and exposed. Redundant survives local failure, drawing from animals with multiple cardiac pumps, unusual blood routing systems, and exceptional oxygen storage. It builds alternate circulation and overlapping organ support into one body. The backup anatomy is costly and difficult to build. Adaptive looks almost ordinary. Naked mole rat-inspired hypoxia metabolism, hibernator-like fuel switching, elephant-inspired damaged cell elimination, and moderate heat and water regulation create balance, not dominance. Test 1 is a simulated high-energy impact with deep internal injury. Which strategy should still function after an ordinary body would collapse? This round favors visible strength, but later rounds will charge for every kilogram and every repair. Aegis spreads the impact across its armor and limits bleeding. Phoenix is torn open, then begins rebuilding. Redundant loses one circulation route and opens another. Dormant protects its core, but reacts slowly. Adaptive controls bleeding and pressure without a dramatic defense. The impact exposes a crucial difference. Protection preserves structure, while repair begins only after function has already been lost. All 5 survive, but not cleanly. Aegis wins the collision. The thermal scan exposes its poor heat control, but the impact itself has not made that weakness worse. Phoenix closes the wound, but burns through fuel, leaves growth signals active, and enters the next round with unfinished repair. Dormant's slow response also becomes a carried penalty. The apparent leaders are still Aegis and Phoenix, but only one leaves the round cleanly. Aegis passes, although the thermal scan exposes a weakness later rounds may exploit. Phoenix and Dormant survive with penalties. All 5 remain in contention. Test 2 removes oxygen, while the candidates must remain conscious and useful, not merely alive. Dormant drops into controlled torpor and reduces demand most aggressively. Adaptive shifts metabolism and remains mobile. Redundant preserves circulation through alternate routes and oxygen stores, but its additional machinery consumes heavily. Aegis must supply a large armored body. Phoenix survives the shortage, yet its unfinished repair slows almost to a halt. Oxygen turns every kilogram, and every active growth zone into a liability. Dormant lasts longest, but cannot respond quickly. Redundant performs better than expected and stays active. Adaptive is less efficient than Dormant, but still thinks, moves, and acts. The apparent winner has changed, and Phoenix carries a deeper penalty into infection. Dormant takes the round. Aegis gains its first penalty. Phoenix's existing penalty becomes more severe. All 5 can still win. Test 3 sends the same fast-moving simulated pathogen into every body. Armor is irrelevant once the threat is inside, and excessive repair can become as dangerous as the infection. Aegis limits tissue damage, but its internal defenses become strained. Phoenix's active repair zones give inflammation more work and more opportunities to lose control. Dormant slows both its metabolism and the infection, buying time without clearing it. Redundant isolates damaged regions and keeps essential organs supplied. Adaptive mounts a controlled response, then applies biological brakes before inflammation becomes the greater danger. Here, surviving the pathogen is only half the problem. Phoenix fails. Its greatest strength has now created the wrong environment twice. First, unstable growth, then uncontrolled repair during infection. Redundant quietly wins the round. Adaptive passes, but only because its response rises and shuts down at the right moments. One timing failure could reverse the result. Phoenix is the first design eliminated. 4 can still win. Test 4 is high radiation. Ionizing radiation can damage DNA throughout exposed tissue. Survival depends on repair, cell cycle control, and removal of dangerously damaged cells. More tissue and faster growth now become disadvantages. Aegis shields part of the body, but its living tissues still accumulate damage. Phoenix replaces cells rapidly, increasing the number of divisions that must be inspected. Dormant lowers activity, yet shutdown cannot erase broken DNA. Redundant sacrifices injured tissue and reroutes function, but its larger, more complex body creates more material to monitor. Adaptive pauses damaged cells, repairs what it can, and removes cells that fail inspection. Aegis fails. Dormant survives with unresolved damage. Redundant's backups keep it alive, but the cellular burden strains the system. Adaptive passes, not because it is radiation-proof, but because this round rewards control rather than replacement. Aegis is out. Dormant and Redundant survive under strain. 3 designs remain. Test 5 combines prolonged food shortage with alternating heat and cold. Every expensive adaptation must now pay its own energy bill, while the body still needs enough function to find shelter and water. The earlier failures confirm the pattern. Armor and regeneration are too expensive when resources disappear. Redundant support organs compete for shrinking fuel, and its backups begin shutting down. Dormant enters torpor, lowers temperature, and stretches stored energy dramatically. Adaptive reduces activity, changes fuel use, conserves water, and adjusts circulation, but remains awake enough to move and seek shelter. Redundant fails. Dormant dominates the round and now looks like the best survivor we built. Adaptive passes without winning. After 5 tests, only 2 candidates remain, and the specialist appears stronger. Redundant is out. The final is Dormant against Adaptive, and Dormant appears built for exactly this kind of world. But every test so far has judged finished adults. A successful human design must do something harder. Build that adult from one cell, reproduce safely, raise a functioning child, and repeat the process across generations. A body that survives alone can still be a biological dead end. The eliminated designs reveal why this matters. Aegis must grow heavy armor without restricting the skeleton or making pregnancy and childbirth unmanageable. Phoenix must intensify regeneration while an embryo is already coordinating rapid growth. Redundant must place every backup organ, vessel, nerve, and control loop correctly. Their adult advantages multiply developmental failure points. Now Dormant. Natural torpor and reproduction interact differently across species, so deep shutdown does not automatically make reproduction impossible. But pregnancy, infancy, and brain development require continuous coordination. Under our rules, the model cannot safely extend Dormant's deepest shutdown state across those stages. Without full dormancy, its environmental advantage weakens. With full dormancy, vulnerable mothers and children require protection the crisis may not provide. Even perfectly inherited traits cannot solve that dependence. Dormant remains an extraordinary adult survivor, but the model cannot demonstrate a stable, multi-generational population. Adaptive uses smaller, conditional changes. The embryo does not need to build armor plates, duplicate major organs, or keep regenerative growth permanently active. Its oxygen, immune, temperature, water, and damaged cell controls activate when needed, then move back toward baseline. That could still hide serious failures, but under the same assumptions, development and reproduction remain compatible enough to continue. Dormant cannot complete the generational test. Under our stated assumptions, Adaptive is the only design that passes all 6. Adaptive never wins by the largest margin. It wins because it avoids extreme specialization, requires less energy, regulates instead of maximizing, and remains compatible with the process that builds the body.